Good morning, everybody.
Oh,
Welcome to Be the Change podcast. Why'd you say that? Because I sound so croaky.
what?
You said, oh.
Oh, no. I was
Okay.
moving. I'm old, you know.
Well, okay. Well, good morning.
It's the bones and such. Oh, heavens. Yeah.
Well, I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to Be the Change. I'm Ashley.
I'm Melissa.
And this is going to be episode 12. We have lots of great things to talk about
Yes.
today. As you could tell, I'm a little under the weather, so this will be a great time. So we're actually recording this. I feel like I need to say this to put some preface on what we're doing.
Yes.
We're recording this Holy Week.
Mhm.
So Easter is this Sunday.
Yep.
This will probably not, well, not probably not. This will not air until after Easter.
Mhm.
So hopefully it'll be a good conversation to hear after the fact, which will also create some good conversations because there's always some interesting sermons and once a year sermons that come out on Easter. So hopefully that will help to bring some insight to what we're going to talk about today, which is peace.
Yes.
And having an understanding peace.
Yes. The reason why I wanted to, again, because I think in an earlier episode we started out that way with the peace and then we went into the forgiveness thing. But it's like I see a lot of both believers and non-believers walking through the world and they don't have peace. They have things, they have money, they have, beautiful homes or whatever. They have, friends and whatever it is that, they have abundantly. None of them have peace. And that really, this is going to sound so stupid, but it hurts my heart.
Yes.
And then
we haven't used these mics in a couple weeks, so
I'm a hands person. So.
It's okay.
But it really hurts my heart for people who don't have peace. And, I've lived in that world with no peace. And I've lived in the world that I have peace. And thank God that I have the peace that I have.
Yeah.
And I have for quite a while now. In the beginning, it was super foreign. Like, I didn't know what it was. Like, everything was still, and I've said this before. And I truly thought I was going crazy. She's lost her mind. This is it for real, guys, But that has remained. And that's been since 2019, the end of 2019. And I see now why, because my life has been nothing but turmoil for real since then.
Yeah.
Like, I went to another job that I knew I wasn't going to be at for long. I didn't, I don't know why I knew that. I just did. But I also felt like it was God putting me there. And now looking back, I see it all. It makes sense. But what was the difference? Like, why do I have peace now and I didn't before? Well, I wasn't living right.
Yeah.
I have found that it's only through my obedience to God's word and how I'm supposed to behave. And not letting all the noise get in my head, which is a very hard thing to do. But the more I walked with God in his word, in prayer, in my everyday life, like in the mornings when I would go to work or anytime I'm in the car, anytime I have the radio on, I'm listening to the Christian stations. There's really good songs on there, y'all. You don't know what you're missing. And I recommend that. I can't listen to country music. I used to listen to it. Used to only be what I listen. I can't do it anymore. It's a trigger.
Interesting.
You want to talk about get me in a hot mess mood real quick, like put that on. I can't do it. that uplifts me. Like if I'm having a bad day and I haven't listened to a sermon or read my Bible or listening to the radio, if I'm not in the moment with God all the time, I'm having a bad day. Does that make sense to you? Do you?
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, that's how I am too. I feel like the days that I'm more like cognizant of how much I've been praying or spending time with God, those days seem to like move smoother.
Mm.
Things seem I feel like I'm in a better mood. So yeah, I
Right.
know exactly
Right.
what you're talking about. I don't listen to country music anymore, mainly because I have kids in the car.
Yeah.
And when I used to think, oh, country music, it just talks about like,
Yeah.
and then I didn't
No.
realize how unfiltered the world's getting.
Yeah.
So then, like, you turn on stations like that, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh wait, that's a bad
That's-
word.
yeah.
And so yeah,
Where did that come
I don't know. I remember being a kid and that kind of stuff was like
Yeah.
censored.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
Right.
not the case anymore. So yeah, I specifically only listen to Christian music in my car,
Mm-hmm.
which I agree. I do think it boosts your mood up.
Mm-hmm.
And like some people want to say, well, some of the radio stations just repeat the same songs over and over. Okay, well, you have YouTube, you
Right.
have
Yeah.
streaming
Sure.
services like
Yeah.
Spotify. You
Right.
create your own playlist. But
There you go.
anyways,
Yeah.
but yes,
Yeah.
I know exactly
Yeah.
what you're saying and how that feels.
It's really easy to get caught up in the ways of the world. And it's really easy to point out people who are actually living like they're supposed to be per the word.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
we live in a world of constant, like, instant gratification.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then, like, with social media and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
people try to make it seem like this is where you could be and this is what you can have and you can get this immediately and this, that. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's never been a thing. Like, you have
Right.
to work for everything. I don't know if that makes sense,
Right.
but I feel like social media plays a really big piece. And which I know we've talked about comparison
Mm-hmm.
and then seeing yourself compared to others.
Yeah.
And so then people are like, keeping up with the Joneses.
Right.
I want what they have.
Right.
Why? And I know we've talked about that many times in other episodes,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like that is a very big thing, and it does block you from having
Right.
true peace.
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Me too. Like, whatever you're feeding, what are you feeding yourself?
Yes.
Like, are you feeding here? Are you feeding here? It matters. Like, what you put in your body matters.
I agree.
You know, and this is coming from, you know, give me all the cake and candy I can get, you know. So, yeah. I think the misconception is you don't know, like when you hear being obedient, nobody likes rules.
Yeah.
I'm a rule follower for the most part. I guess it depends on whose rules, right? But when I hear obedience, I'm like, no. But it's different. Like for me, when I started truly getting into the word and learning what, because I mean, there was what I'd heard through whoever,
mm-hmm.
and then there's what I read, and then as a grown up, more grown up person, it means different things.
Mm-hmm.
And it all kind of started to make sense when I put it all together, and it was like the obedience part really wasn't that hard.
Yeah.
Like for me, I wasn't, you know, I went to school and I left school. Like I didn't do the after school activities. I wasn't that person. But I always wanted my parents to be proud of me, right? Mm-hmm. So I think I have that same mentality when it comes to God. I want him to be proud of me. I know he is regardless, you know, but I want to do the things that's going to make him more proud.
Yeah.
So I want to say, I'm going to do this, and I want to do it. I don't want to, like, I don't want to, Mommy, please, if you do this for me, I'll clean my room. Do you know I'm not cleaning my room?
Yeah.
Just give me the whatever, and then I'll fight with you later about it, right? And I find that, okay, so for instance, I'm going to do a for instance, and y'all are not ready for this, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
Not long ago, a couple years, 2 years maybe, I was going down a road that I had been on before, very easily. It just, everything just seemed to be, the devil is very crafty when he prepares that walk for you. And it was Memorial Day weekend, matter of fact, that I got down on my knees and I said to God, Lord, if you take this desire away from me, I will never do it again. And I meant it. And I believed that he would do it. And he did it. I'm amazed because while I believed he would do it, I didn't think I could do it. But when you're walking with Jesus, you don't have to do it. He does it for you. So it really is simple. It's not easy to start walking down that road of obedience, of wanting to do the right thing, not wanting to get revenge, wanting to forgive people because people are human. And you tell me the last time that you've done something that was perfectly fine and you just expected everybody to get over it. That's not how it works, you know? All you have to do is believe that he died on the cross for you to take away your sins. And what kind of person would do that for somebody? And then I see people running amok, believers and non-believers, who don't know the peace of God. And Philippians 4:7, is that what I said earlier? I mean, it's true 100%. The peace of God will surpass all understanding. I can't explain it. I just know how I felt before, and I know how I feel now.
Yeah.
And, you know, since that time that I actually became obedient and got out of my own way is really what that was. You know, when I got out of my own way, it's like everything, it's like the Red Sea part of the end, sister. And I'm telling y'all, you can have that. That's what I'm telling. But you have to, are you desperate enough for Jesus? That's what I want to know. Are you desperate enough to get the peace that you can have through Jesus Christ? That's my question.
Yeah, and like, to kind of go with that, because I know I had mentioned earlier to you, with it being Holy Week, and think about the events like leading up to the crucifixion. So I think Peter is a really good example of like being human.
I can so relate to Peter.
I know. And then, so it's like, first of all, being human, which I've heard different theories of things, which I'm going to talk about some in just a moment. But then also just how Jesus was, just the kind of person he is and how much he does just ooze God.
Yeah.
So, because like with Peter, you know, I've heard, how could he deny Jesus 3 times and all that kind of stuff? Like, how could he do that?
How would you? Yes.
And then it's like when you're breaking down the story.
Yeah.
And
it's so easy.
Yeah. I just recently went through a Bible study with a group of ladies where we like tore this apart because we were really talking about Silent Saturday.
Yeah.
which I know I had mentioned to you earlier. So it was like, you have all these events leading up to the crucifixion. Well, then everything happens on the day of the crucifixion, and then Peter denying Jesus 3 times, and then the rooster crowing, and everything was happening. Well, then the Sabbath day happened. So then Jesus was practically like thrown into this tomb because they had to hurry and get it done before Sabbath. And then everybody was just in their homes, couldn't do anything for a whole like 24 hours. And so then it's like, could you imagine being Peter? Because like, let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
He was like, he was the first disciple to declare Jesus as Lord. Whenever he was like, "Who do you think I am?" And then, so Peter was that person. He knew who Jesus was. He declared him as Lord.
So how devastating, because they were told, this is how it's going to go down, y'all.
Yeah.
And they didn't believe him.
And then whenever Jesus was even like, "You're going to deny me," he's like, "No,
Never.
I'm not. Are you kidding me? Like, why would I do that? I believe in you. I love you. Like, if you go down, I'm going down with you. Like, seriously." But then it's like, okay, I know how, when you're just reading through the story, I know what it sounds like. Oh, Peter denied 3 times.
Right.
But then it's like, when you really slow down and read the story, and then, which you can read each one of the Gospels, which adds a little bit more and a little bit more. Some take, it's different people telling the same story.
Yeah.
But it's like, I just want people to put as who we are as humans, because we are not any better. Like, we're all human. We're all sinners.
Right.
And so when you think about Peter being in this situation and him being in this courtyard of people, when all of this hustle and bustle is happening, and he just watched Jesus get arrested from the garden, and he just saw like all the disciples were scared for their life essentially and ran. And so he actually followed Jesus because he was trying to see what was going down. And so it's like, just really picture yourself being in this moment. The person that you are following, that you believe is King of Kings, Lord of Lords, is being arrested. And you don't know what's about to happen. We see what's going to happen. We can read the story. We're like, oh, this is what happened. But like, they didn't know what was going to happen. Could you imagine how scary it had to have been to witness all of that going down? And then he's standing there in this whole crowd of people, and someone's like, oh, hey, that's one of Jesus's followers. And if everybody looked at you, I could just see, I'm not saying what he did was right. I'm not saying I don't want anybody to hear that. But as a human, I could sense
you did
fear.
the human thing.
Yes, I could sense, like, how scared would you be if there was a group of people around you and you just watched your person get arrested and all these things are happening, and then somebody's like, hey, that's one of the people that followed him. No, I'm not.
No.
Because what if they like attack you? Like,
you don't know what's
and then they're
happen.
like, no, I know, like, you're one of the ones. No, that was not me. No, it really was. No, I swear that was not me. Like, that seems so human to me.
Yes.
Because like, that is kind of also scary if you have a group of people. And then it's like, okay, well, then the rooster crows, and then it literally talks about how he wept bitterly. So it was like, it happened so fast, and then he realized what he did. He's like, wait, oh crap.
Yeah. And you can't take it back.
And so then could you imagine somebody who trusted and believed in Jesus so much, had that moment of weakness, and then he had to sit at home for a whole 24 hours at the Sabbath and couldn't like do nothing about it. He couldn't go visit Jesus's tomb. He couldn't, like, for a whole Saturday, he just had to sit there. And when you're talking about peace, I'm like, could you imagine how much he did not have peace? Because he's probably just beating himself up. He's like, I did this with Jesus and followed him there and watched him do this miracle.
How could I have been so stupid to miss it?
Yeah.
How come I didn't see it?
But then,
why didn't I know and not do it?
Right. And then when Jesus comes back, and then he's doing, he's talking to all of them afterwards, which I'm not sure where all of this is. I had it all on. I'm like, I don't know. It's in here.
Y'all read your Bible.
Read your Bible.
Read your Bible. We're not a Bible school. We're not preachers. Read your Bible. You'll get it. It's there.
When Jesus was talking to him afterwards, and I actually kind of wish I could find it, because what he said, nope, that's where he was crucified. But what he said to Peter was so, like, to me, it just meant, well, I don't know. Y'all should go back in your Bible and read how Jesus asked Peter to come follow him. So that story, oh, here it is right here. So in Luke 5:8, that's how he originally called Simon Peter.
Mm-hmm.
But then in John 21 at the very end,
Mm-hmm.
it talks about his restoration of Peter.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked him 3 times in this passage, do you love me more than these? Do you love me? Do you love me? And Peter's like, yes, yes. So he asked him 3 times because he denied him 3 times. So then he asked him 3 times, do you love me? And so then he was like, well, truly, I tell you, when you were younger. Well, anyways, he just goes through and he's like, well, when you grow old, you stretch out your hand. And so he's going through this with him and telling him, he's like, after saying all of this that he told him, he said, follow me, which is like the same thing he said whenever he called him to be a disciple. So it just shows that even though Peter had this human moment of denying him, Jesus was still there for him. It was like he just knew where Peter's heart really was. And so I just find that really comforting, because it's like we do live in a world of like instant gratification, where we try and we do chase the wrong things, or we're not truly peaceful. But then it's like if we do go back to searching for God and loving God and remembering Jesus and who he is, I do feel like Jesus is going to step in and remind us of who he is and give us that peace and show us how to find that peace in our life. I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah. You know, and Peter beat himself up, no doubt, over all of that. And
as would we. Like, you know, I can just imagine beating myself up over something.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying. Like, I didn't want to have that fight with myself anymore. You know, I'm just going to do it the way I'm supposed to. And God, show me what that is, because I don't know. You know, I can throw my life right off in the ditch in a hot second with the best of them. I don't know the right way. So I need you to teach me that.
Yeah.
And he will. He will. 100% he will.
Yeah, I believe so.
He had said, tell my disciples and Peter. And Peter. He made a point to name him, right? Because Peter, the rest of them scattered, okay?
Right.
Peter, it was a different relationship, I think, that Peter had with him.
And I remember that because I actually read that recently, because he was like something with the 11 and Peter.
And Peter.
But it's like, well, so why did he do that? You
because
know, like,
Peter denied him.
Yeah.
And he wanted Peter to know, I forgive you.
Yeah.
You too, Peter. I forgive you too. Melissa, Ashley, you know, you know, and it's very easy in today's world to, well, I guess just being a human in any world, to beat yourself up over, you know, things you did or things you didn't do or said or whatever. But then there's, you know, where is everybody for me? Nobody's checking on me. How come nobody talks to me? Okay, well, how do y'all think Jesus felt?
Yeah.
So when I would go down that rabbit hole, I would always hear, I know how you feel.
Why didn't you tell me that last week when I sent you that text? I was like, girl, you sitting here talking to me on this thing. That was my feeling.
And I don't, because I've been there, you know, driving down the road, squalling. If any of y'all see me on the road squalling, I mean, this is my moments that I would have with Jesus, you know.
Well, but since you mentioned that, so last week I was out of town, and I know like you and I talked, but what she just said were the exact words that I messaged her. Whether
I was for real in my own head.
I was like, whether you realize you said it or not, but it, you know, like your human mind does start to take over, and your peace does kind of go out the window when you start to feel alone. Like alone is a big one. Yeah. And I was like,
alone in a room full of people that you know.
Yeah.
That's the worst one.
I was out of town for, well, over a week, but like for the first couple days, like my husband would be like, oh, where's your phone? I'd be like, up in the room, because I didn't get a single notification. Nobody called or texted me. And then it just made me feel like, so does nobody care about me? Like, I know people know. See, okay. And I think part of it is because this is the first baby I'm going to have where I get to stay home.
Right.
So lately I've been thinking about, oh, it's coming up quick. I'm almost in my last trimester. And then well, I guess I'm just going to say it how I feel, even though it's probably going to be sad. I am afraid, which I shouldn't be, but I am, that when I have the baby, and I stay home, that people are going to see that I had 2 kids when I was working full time and I was like really busy.
Right.
And when you have a kid, and like at the time I had a church home and and so it was like, well, I had a baby and people were there for me. Like they brought me
Right.
meals and they checked on
Right.
me and
Right.
I don't really care about the food, but it was
Right.
just that
Right.
they were present.
Right.
And then my fear is that people are going to be like, oh, now she's not working. She's just stay
She
at
can do it for
home.
herself.
And then people are not going to check on me. People are not going and it's just going to be lonely. And that's been my biggest thing right now with the
Yeah.
transition to staying home is like not hearing from people.
Yeah.
And I went from working, 8, 9 hours a day around
Right.
other grown adults where we were talking.
Sure.
And it was like, I was feeding off of people. And then
Right.
now I'm like home and I see you once, maybe twice a week. But it's like people don't text
Right.
me. Well, when I say it, it's kind of like what you said. It's like people don't text me. People don't just say, how are you doing?
Mm-mm.
People don't swing by my house and like
Right.
so I'm afraid I'm being forgotten,
Yeah.
which makes me
Yeah.
feel very alone.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's why I had texted you that last
Yes.
week. And it's just like, I kind of feel a little silly saying it out loud, but it's
Yeah.
like
No, it's very real.
being alone is a very sad feeling.
Sure.
But then it's
Sure.
like what you said.
And
I
it's a
mean,
very real feeling.
yeah,
I didn't have anybody bringing meals, checking on me, and having when I had no. I don't know what that means. What?
yeah,
You know. But I find I am the one that reaches out. I always have been. That's
yeah,
just my personality. It's who I am. It's one of my gifts. I've never said that before. I've never felt that way before. But when you know the truth about who you are,
yeah,
it makes it so much easier to deal with everything else.
yeah. That's why I'm
Because
trying to just like, because even like what you said last week, you're just very comforting and
well,
so I'm trying to
that's
just
what I want to be. Like,
yeah,
it's not all hope is gone.
yeah.
The world can really be a beautiful place if people would just get out of your way.
But it's just like what you were talking about with Jesus. Like I have to remind myself, like if I feel alone and forgotten or whatever, like just imagine how Jesus felt when he was hanging up on that cross. And
Yeah.
it was like,
Yeah.
how much more alone can you feel? And so it's just
Yeah.
like I think I have it. Well, I don't think I have it bad, but like when you start
Sure.
to get all of your
Oh,
feelings,
you got it the worst
Yeah.
when you're up in your head.
and so then it's like
Oh.
kind of everything we've been talking
Yeah.
about is
Yeah.
like get out of your head,
Yeah.
get those thoughts captives,
Yeah.
or captive. It's
Yeah.
just like I need to constantly remind myself, like,
Mm.
well, Jesus did it. I mean, not even. I mean, Jesus did. He did it all, but
Yes.
also the disciples. When they chose to follow Jesus,
Mm.
they were like outcast as well.
Right. Right.
And so then it's like,
But it's easier to be outcast when you have people to be outcast with.
yeah, you have your group of people.
So you got to find your tribe.
Yeah, it's actually my
know.
favorite time of year
Yes. Mhm.
for many reasons.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I
don't know how you can be a believer. I don't know, but I'm gonna say this. I'm sorry, and it doesn't go, but
say
leave
it. Say it.
I don't know how you can be a believer of God, of Jesus, and what this week means. And not know that the cross was his payment for what we do on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And how you can think that you are so much better that you don't have to abide by the word as a believer.
Mm-hmm.
Not the non-believers. Non-believers, I can try to help you too, just to see it the way I see it, or lead you in a direction that I know will help you learn what you need to learn. But I for the believers, I don't know how.
Like, how
can you continually walk the walk you've always walked,
in search after things that are not
that
of
you
God?
know will never fill you? They haven't this far. They're not gonna.
Yeah.
If I can guarantee the one thing, that's what I'll guarantee. Those things will never, ever fill you. They will never, ever satisfy you. You can have all the shoes, the bags, the clothes, the cars, the watches, the
biggest house, the
all the
fanciest
things.
car,
all the debt. You can have it.
Yeah.
I give it to you. Because I've been in both situations. I got this money and what, I don't know.
I think it's okay to, but to
never
like,
had this before.
Yeah.
And he gave that to me. I needed it at the moment. I had to travel, didn't know. But I've also been jobless,
yeah.
And
I think it's okay to have like things and nice things, but then it's like what you said, like what are you seeking
Right.
after?
My peace is now. Like he's always provided. He has always provided.
Yeah. And are you giving back to him the things that he's giving to you? Like, do you truly believe that everything you have in your life
is
not yours?
Yeah.
Like it is from God and of God. And are you using it in a way to glorify and uplift him?
Right.
Because like some people are very well off or have, very fortunate gifts in life that they have worked really hard for.
Right.
So then it's like, but how are they using those things?
Correct.
And
you're supposed to move out of the way and let him move through you. And that's absolutely what happens. I could have never done this makeover. Never in a million years by myself. And you are reborn of the Spirit and the water. There's supposed to be a difference.
Yeah.
Your mind is supposed to change. Like if you're not ready for that, then you shouldn't step up to the plate saying that you are. And I think that's a lot of, we're called to show the world who Jesus is.
Yeah.
But then the world sees the people that are coming to show them who Jesus is. And you know what? I don't blame you. I wouldn't want that relationship either. I'm going to just say that. I'm sorry. That may hurt some feelings. I don't know.
I will say this. If it were not for my own personal testimony and my relationship with God and what I've seen God bring me out of.
Right.
Then if I left it up just to what I've experienced in the church and with people.
You wouldn't do it.
If I was just a normal person who came across church, I wouldn't be at church anymore because I have come across people that I'm like, how? Who? When you start to see people's true, it's just like you said, it's like, I do not, like if I was somebody who was on the fence of like new Christianity or trying to, like, why would I want to put my faith and trust into you when I'm seeing you living this life?
Right.
Because like you said, hypocrite. Like, but the only reason that I have stood so firm in my faith and I believe what I believe.
Me too.
And I'm not saying I'm perfect.
No,
but it is when I make mistakes, I know where my mind goes and I know how I ask for forgiveness. I know how I try and handle situations. Like I know where my mind is at because of my relationship with God.
Right.
But it's like I tell people all the time, and when I tell my full testimony, if it weren't for God, I would either be, like dead or in jail. I would not be where I'm at today.
Me neither.
And I know people don't look at me and they see that, but it's like I made some horrible, terrible decisions underage. When I say underage, like under the age of 21.
Yes.
I was living a not great life. And if it were not God and what I truly believe is him seeing my future and who I am. And if it weren't for that, I wouldn't be here.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm just like, if it weren't for my own I honestly, everything I believe about God is because of what he's done for me.
That's right.
If it had to do with, all
anybody else's picture or whatever, you're not going to get it right.
Now there are, I mean, I'm not saying like there are some true people out there who are like what we've talked about that I believe are really trying their hardest in a sinful human world. They're trying their hardest to live the word.
Yeah.
But when it comes to church and being involved in church, and I agree with what you like.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people out there who claim.
Yes. That's the word.
And I'm not saying they're not Christians. No, that is not my place for me to judge your relationship with God.
That's right.
But when it comes to you living out the word. And as from one Christian to another Christian, the Bible does talk about rightfully judging.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say from some situations that I have seen, what Bible are you reading?
Right.
Like that's honestly the question.
Yes.
I'm like,
yes. I'd like to know the same thing. I'm not the one that's going to go up to somebody and say, the Bible doesn't say your behavior is off. Like,
Right.
I'm not going to do that. That's for you to decide with God. That's
Right.
not for me.
I agree.
Never mind. I don't know.
I just have
What's
more
that?
problems with claims. You are claiming.
Yeah, I'm watching what you're doing, and it's not matching what I'm reading.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have to distance myself.
Yes.
I'm not going to call you out.
Yeah.
That's not for me to do. I'm not going to lie. I'd love to, because that's the sinful nature in me.
But I
and
also
I'm not
feel
gonna
like
do it.
I feel like there are times
But I'm
that
gonna back up.
yeah, I do feel like there are times to call people out for things that if they're
Sure.
claiming Christianity and claiming God, like as Christians, I feel like we do have a certain right to stand up for what is truth.
Yeah.
But I'll also agree with you that there are times if you're super close with somebody and you start seeing things happening, it's like, I don't really need you in my life as much as
yeah. The boundary thing comes up. You know,
Exactly.
and we learn about those too, and
Yes.
how to utilize them.
I
It's
agree.
not. I'm not rude. I'm not mean. I'm not hateful. I just back up.
Yeah.
I wish you well.
Yeah.
All the best. I still pray for you.
That's for God to
but I'm
handle
gonna
that
back
for me.
up.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's me trying to protect me or him trying to protect me,
Yeah.
either way, I see it now, and it's time to back up and maybe
agree.
pivot, go a different direction. I think people see the Bible as a book full of rules and, you know, punishment. And while it does speak on that, the main point is love.
hmm
And you can't love and have meanness. They don't go together.
When I read the Bible, I just see a lot of, I mean, there are do's and don'ts,
Yes.
but I feel like a lot of that is like common sense. Like
Right.
you should be able to do something in life and know if you're doing right or wrong.
Yes.
But I feel like the Bible, like you said, love is just story after story of redemption
Yeah.
and how when you really dive into all these people, especially the genealogy of Jesus,
Oh my gosh.
and you start like reading there, and I'm like, all I'm reading when I read the Bible, not all I'm reading,
Yeah.
but what a lot of what I see is just these humans who are humans who have this story and this testimony who are being redeemed from that and still giving an opportunity to be part of God's greatest story.
Right.
You know, so I'm like,
oh, that gives me chills. Yeah. Yeah.
that's just, I feel like
and to be part of that, are you kidding me?
Yeah. So I'm like, how can I, you know, I do have a pretty crazy testimony. I know you have a story and testimony. It's like, all I think about, I do not regret anything in my past because I believe I went through every single moment. I went through every situation, every story. Yes, all of it for a purpose in God's plan.
Yep.
And because of who I am today, I'm able to talk to and reach a certain group of people that I never would have been able to before.
Amen, sister. That's exactly right. That is exactly right. And that's 100%. I love that. Yes. And that's why he does it. That's why he does it. And, you know, when you think of, and I don't know, go back in your own life, look back. What has he done before?
Yeah.
And here you are today. So what do you think you can do next? Oh, boy. You know, when I go through like complete and utter hell, if you will, now I take it as a sign. What's he fixing to do now? You know, because I know,
brace yourself,
after the storm, he's going to say, whoosh, you know, and it's like, wow, amazing. Who would have ever thought that? Not me, you know. I mean, I wanted XYZ, but this is way better, you know. And I can say that in so many different areas of life. And looking now at what he did for me through all of that to where I am today, looking back, and it's like, you know, touchdown, Jesus, you know, that is 100% how I see it. And life is not just simple, easy. Every day is terrible hard, you know, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
What makes it life. We get to experience and live it.
Yeah. And when you can be grateful for all the other blessings, like I don't care how minute you may think they are, you know, or how grand they are. You can't live in the grateful and the misery at the same time, right? You've said that not long ago. You can't have both those thoughts. So the minute you start praising him, your day just gets better.
I agree.
It doesn't get worse. It gets better, you know.
I agree. All right, awesome. Well, great conversation.
Yes.
So I hope, I'm like, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out how to bring all that together.
Yeah,
now,
I don't know, you know, but hopefully it helped. Hopefully it made sense.
Or hopefully it just gives you something to think about. Like, go back and think about, honestly, where's your peace level at?
Yeah.
Like, are you living a peaceful life? Are you happy? Content, which happy is a whole
happy
different
is different, girl.
It is.
I'm gonna have to call you out.
Yeah, that's a different feeling. I said it, and I
very rarely am I happy.
Yeah, but just think about your peace and kind of do a self check on where you're at. If you are a Christian and you're walking with God, so that's something you should be personally analyzing in your life.
Yes.
And then just think about where your treasures are at. Like, where are you putting your time, energy, and efforts, and are you truly doing it for God, or are you doing it for yourself?
Right. Are you out there doing it for what they can do for you?
Yeah.
Because that's wrong.
Or like, are you prioritizing your family over all else? I hear that all the time. It's like,
that's not entirely true either. I mean, not what I've read. I don't.
Right. So just do some analyzing. This is a good time of reflection. Take what you heard from Easter, if you listen to a sermon, and then take this and really think about your peace. And you can always, as always, y'all can start a conversation with us.
Yeah.
We'd love to get any feedback. Or
do you have a testimony? What has God done for you? Let us know. We want to know.
Absolutely.
I know there's got to be something in there.
Yeah, I agree. Somebody let us know. Yeah. All right. So I hope y'all have a great rest of your week, and we will see y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.